Hey there, collectible connoisseur. I just wanted to show off a small stack of cards and then chat a little bit about my collection, just like always. Thank you for joining me on this. Declaration statement here. I collect PSA graded cards of Ken Griffey Jr., Andrew Benintendi, and then Cincinnati Reds. But I, personally, have never submitted a card to PSA for grading. This, by the way, 2010 Bowman, Ken Griffey Jr., 1992 style. It's a 1992 Bowman throwback, PSA Mint 9. You know, several years ago, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6, I had set aside a number of cards that I was going to send to PSA to have graded, but at the time, PSA's turnaround time was just so long that I thought, man, I'll just wait until they kind of get their act together and I can get my cards back in a kind of a normal time frame. Here's a 2008 Topps Updates and Highlights. Ken Griffey Jr. gold foil. This is commemorating Jr. becomes the 6th player to hit 600 home runs. This card's not numbered, although gold foil is a variation on kind of the regular issue of this card. So anyway, PSA's taken a long time, so I never submitted my cards. And then, you fast forward a couple years from there, and the pandemic hit, and, the card market was overheating, really soaring, but overheating. And PSA found the need to shut down the acceptance of new cards, which was the appropriate thing to do. I'm not questioning that at all. But, obviously at that point, it doesn't make sense for me to send any cards to them. Here's a 2005 Topps Updates and Highlights Ken Griffey Jr. All-Star card. PSA Mint 9. Anywho, so PSA stopped accepting new submissions for a while, and then when they started opening things back up, they did so at higher prices. I mean, you can see that a lot of the cards, as a player collector, as with my Reds cards as a team collector, the bulk of what I collect is not high value. I'm more interested in kind of completion. Here is a 2000 Upper Deck Victory. There is, in this set, kind of a series of, I think it's like 30 cards in a row with, they're all titled the Junior Circuit, and each commemorates a point, to that point in time in Ken Griffey Jr.'s career. It's commemorating his inclusion on the All-Century team. Although, I guess, he played at that point a 10th of the century. He came up in 1989, and this is 1999, so he had a decade under his belt. This is card number 424. This is in a Gem Mint 10. Back to PSA. So when they open back up at higher prices, still, I don't balk at the higher prices. And some people will say, hey, a card like this just isn't worth, I think the lowest price in PSA scale right now is $50. It's not worth $50 to grade. The card itself, won't resell for $50. This is true. And the card itself is so very common that what you or me as a submitter would be doing would just be gumming up the works for people who want to, have truly valuable cards graded. My response is, if I want my card graded and I'm paying, the fee to have it graded, who are you to question or to shame me for submitting a otherwise common card? Like this 2000 Upper Deck Victory, another Junior Circuit card. This card number 432, PSA Gem Mint 10. And here's the thing, nowadays, as a player and team collector of PSA graded cards on the secondary market, these cards, like this 1993 Upper Deck Checklist card in a PSA 10, aren't worth $50. I don't know that they'll ever be worth $50, but that's fine. I can go out and pick this card up. I think this card was 14. I can pick up, 5 of these or 5 of this kind of card, this, I don't know, quote unquote, value of card for the same price it would cost to grade 1. And I'm content to do so until I, in the course of collecting my players and my team, at some point, maybe, probably not, but maybe I would conceivably buy up everything $50 and under that I needed. And then I would reevaluate my position. So that's the main reason I've never submitted a card to grading, even though I collect graded cards, is the secondary market is just robust enough that I'm still able to get cards that have been graded, for less than it costs to grade a card. And as long as I can do that, I'll continue to do that. The other issue is, why would I buy graded cards? Well, we've talked about this before, 3 quick reasons. Number 1, it's encapsulated. The card's preserved. It's safe. Number 2, an independent, mostly disinterested third party has assigned a grade to it. So I don't have to talk about the, relative condition of the card to someone who I may wish to resell it to. And then, number 3, and maybe the big one, is if there are a lot of grading companies out there, and there's maybe 4 that dominate the market at the moment. But if you look off into the future, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, can you imagine someone other than PSA being the most popular grading company? Maybe as you get out towards 10 and, 10 plus years, possibly. But, for the near-term future, I'm very content to buy PSA graded cards. Here's a 1998 Flir Traditions, although it's not on the label. It just says 1998 Flir, but this is the Flir Traditions issue, the Power Game subset. And I wanted to show this one off last just because there's something a little bit interesting, at least in the way I collect, with regards to this particular card. I don't know if you paid attention to this, but you probably, if you have, you've noted that every Ken Griffey Jr. card I've ever showed you before has been graded 9 or 10. 9, 9, 9, 10, 10, 10. I don't very often buy an 8. I have a thing where, if it's out there, I'd prefer a 9 or 10. Quite honestly, I really like this card, by the way. I mean, it's a good-looking card. It's kind of fun. But I bought it by mistake. I was kind of fiddling with eBay, kind of bored, firing in, looking at cards, having fun, and firing in bids, and I didn't even mean to bid on it. I think whoever had it listed, I don't even look at 8s, so it fell into my screen for, looking for 9s or 10s. And, I ended up buying it, and I thought about, maybe returning it, but then I looked up the population report for this particular card. And actually for this series, for the Power Game subset, the Power Game, there are only 14 cards graded. 6 of them are Ken Griffey Jr.'s. There's 1 9, 4 8s like this one, and 1 7. And that's it. I mean, now, maybe down the line, people will, fire a few of these raw cards from this series out to PSA, and, 9s and 10s will abound. But for right now, there's only 1 card out there that is graded higher than this, and only a few cards that are graded at all. And so population also makes a difference to me. I don't typically look at population, but if I find a card that I like, or if a card that I like kind of falls into my lap, then I'll justify getting it or holding on to it by its relative scarcity. But that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about tonight, was a little bit of PSA talk. I have never graded a card myself. It remains to be seen if I ever will, but I enjoy collecting them.